Now it's time for today's perspective on the programme. And my guest on the programme today is a man who, along with his team, is helping to feed hundreds of people every single day in Gaza, and doing so as a charity by bicycle. It all started long before the recent violence back in 2020, when he formed, along with his colleague Allah, the Gaza Sunbirds, which is now a team of people dedicated to bringing food to those who most need it. Well, his colleague Allah was actually on the brink of cycling as the Asian Championships when he was hit by a sniper at a protest that led to the two forming their organisation. Well, Karim Ali is joining us now on the line. But Karim, before we talk, let's just watch a very short clip of your colleague Allah doing what he does. It's in Arabic, but it gives you an idea of the work.
من 7 أكتوبر لغاية الآن كان وضع صعب، وبعدها صرنا نكبر الحلقة، صرنا نعطي عائلاتهم، صرنا نعطي المحيط، صرنا نعطي الناس اللي نزحت، صرنا نعطي كل الناس. صار عندنا لاعبين متطوعين وكثير ناس حابة تنضم لنا. كثير الأشياء هذه بتحفزني وبتقويني. كنت بفكر أجيب أقرب وقت يعني.
And Karim Ali joins us now from Brussels. Great to have you with us on the programme. Thanks for joining us. We saw there a little snapshot, I suppose, of what you and your colleague do delivering that aid. I mean, tell us, first of all, how it came about. What actually happened to Allah?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. So Ala was Palestine cycling champion, and for 6 years he was trying to leave Gaza and compete, but he was constantly getting rejections. Until 2018, Ala finally had the chance to go and compete in the to compete in the Asian Games in Jakarta. But 2 months before, he went to the Great March of Return, where he was shot by an illegal explosive Israeli bullet, and he had to get an amputation because he was rejected medical leave. At the time, he called it the amputation of his dreams. But Ala eventually went back to cycling. He became Palestine's first paracyclist, and then we founded the Gaza Sunbirds together back in 2020 to give other people who went through similar experiences to him the same opportunities to use cycling as a tool for rehabilitation.
And was it a way for him and for you as well of sort of fighting back in a peaceful way as well?
Yes, of course. Ultimately, one of the occupation's objectives is to erase Palestinian identity. And when Ala was shot in the leg as an able-bodied athlete, it was an attempt to target not just him as a person, but also him as an identity of Palestine, as a representative of Palestinian identity, as a cultural figure, as an athlete. The occupation has shot more than 800 athletes and killed more than 800 athletes since the genocide began in Gaza. And so for us, going out and representing Palestine on the world stage and continuing to cycle on despite the injuries and despite the amputation of Ala is definitely a form of resistance against the occupation and against their desire to silence us.
And it's really grown, hasn't it? And you've brought in a lot of other people who also have disabilities to take part as well.
Yes, you know, Gaza as a place has no shortage of people with disabilities. Our team before the genocide was made up of 25 people. The youngest was 12 years old and the oldest was 58 years old. And they're all people who've been injured in different wars and different stages of violence in Gaza from 2008, 2014, 2018, 2021, and also people from the most recent round of violence in this genocide that passed now. So the team did grow very quickly and is still growing actually until today.
And presumably the work gives all of those people as well a bit of a purpose in their lives as well, that they feel they're doing something to help contribute?
Yes, of course. Ultimately, the reason that we're doing any of this is for hope and to inspire hope for both the people in Palestine, but also the people internationally who've been fighting and supporting our cause. You know, for us, it's not just a way to give hope to ourselves, but it's also a way to build a movement and a way to resist and a way to platform our stories.
So let's talk a little bit more about how it's changed. I mean, when you first started, how hard was it to get the idea off the ground and to get people involved?
I mean, at the start, I thought it would be the easiest thing, but it was one of the most difficult things because nothing was available in Gaza because of the siege. When we first started the team, the bicycles, we had to wait a month to get each bicycle. the guys had no shoes to train in on the bicycle. They had to tie their foot onto the pedal with a shoestring. There were no helmets, no cages for water bottles. All of the most basic things that you would expect to have for training, you just wouldn't have in Gaza. People did not have. We had to find very lengthy ways in order to get them in. And every time we would start to get our program started, there would be another war or another attack from Israel on Gaza, and there would be more bombing, and there would be more violence, and it would disrupt everything that we're trying to do. So it was always a difficult start in Gaza, one that was, not spared by the occupation in any way, shape, or form.
And presumably that disruption, I mean, really reached a crescendo after October 2023?
Yeah, I mean, a crescendo is one way to say that, everything changed in life. Nothing could remain the same after the aggressions after October 7th. More than 90% of Gaza has been destroyed by the occupation. More than 80,000 people have been killed. More than 100,000 people have been injured. There's going to be more than 38,000 new cases of permanent disabilities in Gaza now as a result of this genocide that has passed by. We have still a very high rate of child mortality and of starvation, of malnutrition in the camps. Even until today, the Israelis are still bombing. There are still people dying every single day in Gaza. And at the start of the genocide, it was no different. Within weeks, everyone was displaced. No one had homes anymore. And we've been living the same nightmare for the last 3 years, non-stop, every single day.
And have you been able to keep the charity going? I mean, what are you able to do on a day-to-day basis now?
So in Gaza, like I just said, the rate of starvation is so bad. So we're still focusing on the food distributions. We work with the World Central Kitchen. We're one of their official distribution partners in Gaza. So through them, we're able to distribute a lot of food and essentials out to people. We're also starting up sports activities again in Gaza. There is, like I said, thousands of people with disabilities now as a result of this genocide. And so we're already starting up activities to bring them together and to get them started with physical activity in Gaza despite the current circumstances. And, also internationally, running the same kinds of sports programs for Gazan refugees, many of whom have been evacuated from Gaza and are now living in countries and places where they don't necessarily have an easy future ahead of them. There's no clear path or route, and there's no way to return home as well.
And what would you say it says about the courage of the Palestinian people? I mean, the people that help you, and of course the people who are receiving the aid as well.
I mean, all of the thanks in the world goes back to my Palestinian colleagues and to the incredible service that they've given to their communities across this genocide. They have been operating under circumstances you cannot even fathom. We've had days where I've had phone calls from the office on the ground of people saying, we're too hungry to distribute food today. At the height of this genocide, the people that were distributing food were too hungry to get out and distribute food. They were also starving themselves. And, we have had no option. Hope is a discipline, but despair is definitely a luxury, and it's been a luxury that we have not had. We have kept going for the last 3 years almost now, non-stop every single day, because we have no choice. And we have been waiting desperately for the world to catch up and for the world to also realize that if they don't act, that, we can't keep doing this forever. But yeah, here we are 3 years later.
And as you say, here we are. I mean, you're there in Brussels. Obviously, you have members outside of Gaza as well. I was hearing that you've actually got members of your team riding up Alpe d'Huez in France this week. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you're right. So my co-founder Ala and our other athlete Mohammed Asfour will be going up Alpe d'Huez with an 84-year-old lady called Anne Jones, who has been doing a different summit in the Alps every single year for the last 3 years to support the team. And, it's exactly because of the determination of people like Anne that our team has been able to keep fighting, to keep distributing aid, to keep competing on the world stage. We have hundreds of volunteers around the world and activists around the world from the flotillas that just sailed to Gaza, to people like Anne who have decided to put the story of our team front and center as a way to represent the Palestinian cause. And we're very honored that we get to do this, and very honored that we get to ride up the mountain with Anne. It's going to be a very challenging thing to do on two legs. And
I can
I don't know
understand.
how the guys will do it, to be honest.
Yeah, good to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining us and telling us about her story, and indeed the story of all the people behind Gaza Sunbirds. Karim Ali joining us there from Brussels. Thanks very much for your time.
Of course, thank you for having me.